Hello everyone, and in this lesson we're going to take a look at how to recreate this pillar texture in comps. So to get started, I have a single cylinder which I copied from the original file, which is just, it's a really dense cylinder because I want to be able to see the displacement in the viewport. You don't need this for final render because you'll use like render time displacement. This is just for viewport purposes. So I'll come to the front view and I have a COP network. Now the texture is broken up into three sections. So you have the flower, you have the top and bottom, and then you have this middle section. So to get started, we will start with the flower. So take an SDF shape and go to compound and pick up egg. Now what you want to do is rotate this 90 and translate it a little bit to the side. So translate it like 0.5 and then get the radius smaller as well. Now along with this, I also want to squash it a little. So take a transform 2D and then I can just scale it down a bit. Now make sure you turn off, like if it starts to show up, make sure you turn the border type to constant or clamp. Like clamp is better. Now, one of the things you want to do is whenever you do a transform on an SDF shape, always rebuild it because sometimes it causes issues when you like blend it or do something else. So just do a rebuild and you'll get an SDF rebuild. And now take a mirror node. So take a mirror and then change the angle to 180. So it'll give you this. Now just like take this and move it out a bit more. And we can also scale it down a little bit. Yeah, I think this is fine. Now take another transform and we will rotate this vertical. So I'll make it 90 like this. And then we can just combine it. So do an SDF blend and we'll get this. Now what I can do is maybe I can just, stretch it out a bit more like that. Yeah. Now along with this, I also want like sharper lines. So I can actually just duplicate this, but I'll just show you which shape we need. So instead of the egg, go to the last one, which is called vesica, and make it 0 and move it vertically. And then do the same thing, like just make it small. Or actually, yeah, let's keep it horizontal. Yeah, we'll just move it the same way. And we can duplicate all of this. So just take this Control C, Control V, and we can plug it in. So we'll more or less, we should get the same thing. Yeah, just, adjust it. Maybe make the radius slightly bigger. And then the same thing we can pick up. Yeah, so we'll get this. So we have these two. Now what I want is just do an SDF to mono. Now what we want is, I want one that is solid, but then if you look at the displacement, it's kind of, like tapers inwards. So we'll need to do that using a gradient. So take this one and take a ramp mono, keep this to concentric and just do a multiply. So we take a multiply and we will get that. Just get the center to not be at 0. Like this value, you can just increase it slightly. Yeah, I think this is fine. And then we do the same thing with the top one. So just take this and plug it in there. Now we want to blend these two, but this one, I just want to rotate it like 45 degrees. So take a transform. Like I can put it in here and just rotate it 45. So it's like this, and just turn off this thing. So make it clamp. Now take a blend. So this one comes in the background and this comes to the foreground. And we just wanted to, we wanted to show up. So just take this and put it in mask. See, so we'll get this. Now you can see like we're getting like a black border to this. So what you want to do is like duplicate this guy, the SDF to mono, and just adjust the ISO offset till it disappears. Like just a little bit. There you go. Now what I can also do is, along with this, I can maybe just like lower the, no, hold on. Yeah, we'll do it here. Like just take a remap and I can just lower this value. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay, now I can, let's try one last thing, which is I can take a transform 2D and I just want to scale it down a little. Just push it back. We'll also put in a rebuild here and just like keep this to clamp and just scale it down like a little bit. Yeah. So if you look at this, see, there you go. This is fine. This is what we want. Okay, so this is done. Now I want these in a tile, but just a single, set, not the whole, not like a full grid. So what you can do is take a tile pattern. Now, as I said, I want one which is gradient like this. That will be for displacement, and for color we need like just a solid version of this. So I can just take a maximum and I can blend these two together. So just take like this guy and this guy, and we just have this. So this is the displacement and this is for the shading or for the color, because it's supposed to be gold, so we just want the whole thing like that. Okay, so take this, plug this into stamp, and what you want to do is change from seamless to tile count, and we can lower the rows to 1, but what happens is it stretches out like this. So what you want to do is come into shape and turn off stretch shape, and then you'll get this. So now I can just lower that to maybe 6 should be fine. And then you can come into the rotate tile if you want. We can rotate it 45 degrees. And we can also give it a little bit of variation if you want, like just to make it look a little uneven. We can do the same thing with the uniform scale. So I'll just scale it up like this, and I will set varying a little bit. And then duplicate this for the other thing as well, for the solid. Okay, so we can call this flower displace and we can call this flower solid. Okay, so this is one set which is done. So I can just keep this here, and if you want you can take like a sticker or something and give it a name. So we can call this as flower, and I can right click here and text size to large. Okay, so that's step 1. Now the next thing we want to do is we'll make this, this pattern down here. So again, take an SDF shape and we will come to marker, and you will find something called as, pick up chevron and then rotate this 90. Now I want to do a couple of things with this. So I want it to have like rounded borders, but I also want it to be thinner. So the way to do it is take an SDF adjust and lower the ISO offset. So make it really thin. Now I want it to become round. So if I take another SDF adjust and I push it back, nothing happens. Okay, but because it still remembers the original shape, so what you can do is if you put a rebuild in the middle, then it forgets the original shape. So if I put a rebuild in the middle, and now you come to the new SDF edges, see, now it can round it off. So we can do this. And we can put another SDF rebuild if you want. That won't make a difference, but it's okay. Now take an SDF to mono, and we will again put it into a tile. So just copy the tile, like we can just do Control-C, Control-V. And I can plug it into the stamp, and you'll get this. Now, of course, we don't want what is happening right now. So I'm just going to keep this, remove the rotation, keep it to 0. We will increase the number and just increase the scale till they sort of blend together. I think 2.1 should be good enough. You can now adjust it, right? If I want it, like if you feel like this is too thick, then we can kind of lower it down a bit. Okay, so this is good. Now I want like circles below it. Were they below it or were they above it? Yeah, above it. Okay. So let's just duplicate this, right? Let's just call it, so let's call it chevron tile. So I'll duplicate this. I'll call it circle tile, and we'll remove this. So we'll just have rectangles, but change that to circles. So come here to shape and change it to circle, and then we can make it smaller, and then again take a maximum and blend these together. So the reason you don't want to take an add is because it looks the same, like if you put an add with like two white colors, but what is happening is that wherever it overlaps, if both colors are white, it takes the value up to 2, so because it's adding it. With maximum, it just keeps it at whatever is the maximum value. So if you do end up using an add, make sure you add a clamp after it. Otherwise, when you go in for displacement, you'll suddenly see the value sort of overshooting way too much, or even with adding colors to it, it will cause issues. So take this, and then I can come in here and I can just take the column offset and move it down like that. And then I can just lower the radius till I am kind of happy with this. Now this is done. Let's take a transform, and I'll just move this down a bit. So again, set this to clamp, take the translate and move it down. And then I can take a mirror and rotate it 90. So that's the shape that we want. Now as a final thing, what I want is I want like diamonds in the middle. So I can just duplicate this. Let's call it diamond tile. And I can set this to, like, let's do the column offset to 0. And I will change the shape to diamond. And just sort of lower the size till you start seeing the diamonds. Now you can't round these off, but if you want like rounded diamonds, then you can use the SDF. So what I can do is I can take SDF shape and then do that. So I can take SDF shape. I can pick up a diamond, make it small, and then do an SDF adjust and just increase the ISO offset so it will round off like this, and then do an SDF to mono and plug that into the stamp. So you'll get this, so the SDF adjust allows you to sort of round this off, which looks slightly better. And then I can do another blend. So we can pick up another maximum and I can blend these together. So what you want to do is just take the tile and just offset it. So take the row offset and move it till it's in the middle like that. Okay, so this is good enough. We can just adjust this a little bit. I think I want to scale it down a little. And the nice thing of doing it with the tile node is that it will be tileable, so you won't have to worry about those aspects. Maybe slightly thinner as well. And the last thing we want is this stuff. Okay, so this is pretty simple actually. So what I can do is I'll just duplicate this. So do Control C, Control V. And then pick up a couple of SDF shapes, or actually just one should be good enough. And I'll set it to rectangle. And I'm going to make it thin like that. And then just do SDF to mono. And we'll do a maximum. And then just put a transform. So put a transform and set this to clamp and just move it down. And I want it thinner. I want the diamonds to be slightly smaller. You don't need to do a row offset, it's fine. Yeah, it'll be okay. Because that one we needed it to be in a specific place. Now another thing you can do with this, or you have to do with this, is take the scale and you want to stretch it out. So just take this and I'll show you why. So just take it and like take the X scale and just make it more than 1. And I'll explain the reason for it. Like it won't show up right now, but it will show up when we do a displace. Okay, so we take this and then I can take like another one. You can try to do a mirror, like I can delete this, take a mirror and we can mirror this to 90 degrees. Yeah, that should be fine. And then I want these bars on top which sort of fade out. So what I can do is I can pick up another tile pattern. So I'll just duplicate this. And here, change this to rectangle. And what I want to do is make it thinner like that. Come to the drawing type and change it to gradient. And then rotate the gradient 90 degrees like that. Or I think minus 90 should be fine. And don't fade it out that much. Like I'll just pick up this one and like increase it a little bit. And then take a maximum and blend these. Yeah, so take this and then do a row offset and bring it down. Okay, sorry, not a row offset, a column offset, and bring it there. And then once you've done this much, take a transform and we're going to push this down. So keep this to clamp and then I can just push it all the way down here. I think this is too big. We'll adjust it, but push it all the way down and then take a mirror and let's again just rotate it 90. So that takes care of like the top and bottom. But this is too big. You know, the other stuff won't fit in here at all. So let's make this thinner and let's just make some adjustments. Maybe some more diamonds wouldn't be a bad idea. Let's take this to 12. Let's take this to 12 as well. And now just adjust it. So take a maximum. And what we want is, firstly, I'll just pick up the solid. So this and then that comes in. We'll put a transform here because we will have to adjust it. Put a transform in both. And like set both of these to clamp. And then take a third maximum. So this comes in here, like these two. And then that goes in there. And plug in, like let's put a null here. And we'll call this as base pattern. So this one we won't have to move. So just put all of this here like that. Yeah, so now what I want to do is take this guy and move it down. This is also too big. And then take this guy and move it up. And so we'll have to make some adjustments. So take the chevron tile, we'll increase the tiling for all of them. So 12 and 12, yeah. And then what I want to do is just take this and adjust it. So yeah, take the column offset. Yeah, you'll have to adjust the offset again. Like whenever you move it, whenever you sort of increase the tiling, the offset has to be modified again. Like for this one, it seems to be fine, but for the diamond, we'll have to adjust it. Like the row offset needs to be adjusted. And then I can just move this down. So where's my transform? Yeah, there it is. And there we go. Yeah, perfect. This is good. Perfect. Okay, so all of this is fine. And then we just need one more. Let's do one thing. Let's bring the flower in the end. So let's do these two first. And then we'll bring the flower in the end. Yeah, so I'll just duplicate this, Control C, Control V. And yeah, also duplicate that. So that is the basic design. So now we can just color these. Okay, so what I can do is for the color, I can just, for a very simple thing, I can take a mono to RGB. What you can also do is you can use this as a blend. Like you can get two textures if you want. You can get like a metal texture and you can get like some base concrete texture and then just blend them using this as a mask. In our case, I'll just keep it fairly simple. So I'll just take this. I want all of this to be gold. So I'll keep it, like slightly yellowish like that. And then I want this to be like a green. So I'll keep it there. So this will be my color channel. And with this guy, what I want to do is I just want to, I don't want to directly use it for displacement. I just want to soften out the border. So what I can do is I can take a feather. So take a feather node and that will kind of feather it out a bit. What you can also do is you can come here and say feather high to low and that will give you a different result. I'll show it once we plug it into displacement and then add a small blur at the end. So, that will be fine. And now along with this, we want to do a couple more things, but let's plug it into our geometry and then we'll see what we get. So I'll take a preview material. I'll do a SOP import. I'll also do one more thing, which is I'm going to pick up the light from here. So I'll just do like Control C, come here and do Control V. So SOP import, I'm going to pick up the tube that I have, which is this guy, and come into, press D and we will turn off this thing. So the first thing is I want the color. So let's just put in the color over here. So we'll get this. And this, I'd given it some animation so it kind of spins around. I'll plug this into displacement so we can see what we're getting. So I will come into height, and it's going to look bad because the displacement value is too high. So come into normals and displace, and we'll make it 0.01. No, that's too low. Let's do 0.1. Yeah, there you go. See, so you're getting like this nice little tapering for the flowers. 0.04 should be okay. Yeah, there you go. Now, so what I can do is, here's the difference, right? So this is feather when it is normal, and this is feather high to low. So what it does is it maintains this thing and just feathers on the outside. But that looks a little weird. Like in our case, we don't want that. And then I'll just keep it to 0.01. Okay, the next thing, and see, this is what's happening at the top, where this sort of tapers out, which looks nice. Okay, now the next thing we want is, we want a metal texture for this, because this needs to be metal. So I can just take this and let's just do a null. I'll call it metal, and just plug this straight into metalness. And so you'll get this. Now I also want a roughness map. So I'm going to take this and do a remap, and we'll call this roughness. And what I want is, this should be shiny and the pillar should be more rough. So this goes high and this goes low, and that comes into my roughness. So there you go. So that looks nice. Maybe the green can be slightly darker. As I said, like overlay this with some kind of a concrete texture or something, it'll look better. Okay, I don't want to sit down and make that. It'll just take too long. Okay, so the only thing left now is I also want to add some kind of like ambient occlusion on this. So what you can do is, we can take our height map, okay, and then you'll get something called as height to ambient occlusion. So just take this and plug it in there, and what you'll get is something that looks like this. So you can increase the height scale, you can increase the step scale so it gets smoother, you can adjust the view radius, okay, and you can increase the sample count, and then take a multiply and multiply these two. Let me just pull this out a bit. I'll do one thing. I'll put this on top and take this below. Yeah, so take the multiply and multiply it with the ambient occlusion. So your map will look like this. So it looks a little better. And then I can just come into preview material, and there you go. Okay, so now the best part is, because all of this is live, like if I want these to be slightly thicker, then I can just come in here to my SDF adjust, and I can just increase that a bit. See, so you can actually like, you can go to the point where it sort of blends in with those. So you can kind of make adjustments like that, so it looks a little better. And I can press D, come to lights, and get the light sampling to 64. So it looks, smoother. Alright, so that's pretty much it. So this is how you can make a pillar texture using COPS.